Jai Parashurama. Welcome back. Whenever there was an imbalance in the society, a revolution takes place in the society to bring back the balance. Sometimes these revolutions are peaceful and sometimes they are very violent. This has been the case throughout the history of humankind. From Puranas, we know there was always a mutual respect and harmony between the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas. The Brahmins were the learned and the ones responsible for spreading and sharing the knowledge with everyone. And the Kshatriyas were the warrior clan that was instilled with the responsibility of protecting the Brahmins as well as the common people. As we witness in our present day, the people in power, or the Kshatriyas who wield great power and a great army, tend to forget their prime responsibility of protection and starts abusing their power to get what they want. This is when there is a divine intervention in the form of avatars. The Puranic text mentions the 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu, of which 9 had already walked this earth, and the 10th avatar's time has not yet come, or at least not during the time of this video shoot. Lord Parashurama was the 6th incarnation of Lord Vishnu. He was a partial incarnation, which means he was a human who was bestowed upon with the powers of Mahavishnu to carry out a specific purpose. The other avatars, such as Sri Rama and Krishna, were a full avatara, which means they were Lord Vishnu himself descended into human forms, and they were aware about their true nature of being Vishnu himself. But Lord Parashurama was not aware of his true nature, or at least for a good part of his early life. There was a great king, Renu, who was blessed with a bright and beautiful daughter named Renuka. When Renuka was a young woman, she was married to the great sage Jamadagni. Both Jamadagni and Renuka had 5 sons. The youngest son was Rama Bhargava. Rama Bhargava was an adherent devotee of Lord Shiva. At a very young age, he took one of the most difficult penance to please Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was so pleased with Rama Bhargava that he taught him all there is to know about weapons, combat, and war, which included the ancient martial arts of Kalaripayattu, which is still practiced to this day in the state of Kerala in India. Shiva also gifted Rama Bhargava a very powerful and divine axe called Parashu, and which became his primary weapon of choice, and henceforth he was known as Parashurama, or Rama with the axe. Parashurama had the true qualities of a Brahmin. He had dedicated himself to the knowledge of the Vedas, which he acquired from his father Jamadagni. And he also had the qualities of a fierce warrior, which he got from the warrior bloodline of his mother Princess Renuka. These events were all taking shape, while the balance of justice and power was shifting towards few powerful Kshatriyas who had to be stopped. Now, let's come to the purpose for which Mahavishnu took the partial avatar of Parashurama. There was a great and powerful king called Kartavirya Arjuna. He was also called Sahasrabahu, which literally translates to a person with 1,000 hands. He was ambitious and ruthless. He captured whatever he set his eyes on. He defeated Karkotaka, the Serpent King, and took the majestic city of Mahishmati and made it his fortress capital. Puranas mention that he even attacked Lanka and took Ravana the Mighty as his prisoner. Someone had to put a stop to these atrocities of Kartavirya Arjuna, and hence Parashurama was born. Once Kartavirya Arjuna and his army was traveling through the area where Jamadagni lived. Arjuna requested Jamadagni if his army could halt and refresh themselves at his home before moving on to their destination. Jamadagni, being a sage, welcomed them. Jamadagni had a divine cow that could give anything its caretaker would ask for. Jamadagni asked for food and milk to feed the entire army, and so it did. Kartavirya Arjuna was amazed at this cow's magical and divine powers, and so the ambitious nature in him wanted the cow for himself. The cow was the source of food and offerings for Jamadagni and his students, and so he obviously refused to give up the cow to Arjuna. Enraged by this, Kartavirya forcefully took the cow and went back to his kingdom. When Parashurama came to know about this, he immediately went and challenged Kartavirya and his entire army. Parashurama became a beast of a warrior and slaughtered every single person in the entire army, including Kartavirya Arjuna. He took back the sacred cow to Jamadagni. This problem did not stop there. Kartavirya Arjuna's sons wanted revenge for their father's death. So they came to Jamadagni's ashram and beheaded Jamadagni while Parashurama was away meditating. When Parashurama returned home, his mother described what had happened. And you can imagine what happens next. But whatever you thought would happen next was probably much milder than what really happened. Parashurama obviously killed Kartavirya's son and did not stop there. He went on to kill their entire lineage. Parashurama understood that if a great sage, a Saptarishi like Jamadagni's life had no value for these headstrong Kshatriyas, then what value would they have for a common man? So Parashurama decided to wait and cleanse the world of any such evil Kshatriyas. Lord Parashurama was blessed to be a Chiranjeevi or an immortal. So he waited for hundreds or thousands of years and destroyed evil Kshatriya clans 21 times. But he did not attack or kill Kshatriyas who were good rulers and true protectors of the common people. There is a lot of misconceptions about Lord Parashurama. Many narratives portray him as a person with some kind of anger management issues. But the truth is, he was a well-composed sage who had the knowledge of the Vedas and the ferociousness of a great warrior. More like the Shaolin temple monks of today. As I mentioned before, Parashurama was one of the few immortals described in our scriptures and historical events. Once Lord Shiva gave his divine bow to Lord Parashurama and asked him to take care of it. When Lord Parashurama was about to go into deep meditation for a long time, he decided to hand it over to someone worthy of protecting it. At first, he went to Ravana because he had saved Ravana once from Kartavirya Arjuna and thought he might be of help. But when he reached Lanka and saw how Ravana was ruling his kingdom, he was not impressed with his temperament, and so he decided to give the bow to King Janaka instead. After many years, when Lord Rama broke the divine bow into half as part of the challenge to marry King Janaka's daughter, Princess Sita, and when Lord Parashurama came to know about this, he was enraged and rushed to chop off King Janaka and Lord Rama's head for disobeying his orders and insulting him by breaking the bow that was given to him by Lord Shiva. But when he came face to face with Lord Rama showed his true nature, or the Vishwarupa of Lord Mahavishnu himself, since Rama was a full avatar of Lord Vishnu. Parashurama realized his mistake and asked for forgiveness and blessed the newly married couple. Parashurama also shows up in many instances in Mahabharata. He trained many warriors in the Mahabharata, including Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Karna. There is a great but mostly unknown story about the battle between Parashurama the teacher and Bhishma the student. The reason for the battle in itself is a long story, but to make the long story short, Parashurama was forced to take up weapons again due to a promise he made that he would protect the ones who seek his help and to kill Kshatriyas who was going against Dharma. So due to a complex circumstance, Parashurama had to face off with Bhishma. This great battle took place for 24 days and went into a stalemate because Bhishma had a boon that he could not be killed by anyone else, but he gets to choose the time and death of his own death. And there was no question of defeating Parashurama, as he was the incarnation of Vishnu himself and he was an immortal. Lord Parashurama was born on a small hill called Janapao in Indore, India. Janapao literally translates to a place where we cannot go or reach. There is a Shiva temple on that hill to this day where it is believed that Lord Parashurama meditated and received the axe from Shiva himself. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please do share this video so that the greatness of Lord Parashurama reaches as many people as possible. Thank you. Now please enjoy the rest of the video.
इदं ब्रह्म इदं शत्रु शापतापि शरद